I am not sure how many men or women I have met who have lived as long as I have. Part of me can hardly believe how much it cost me, both spiritually and monetarily, to achieve this timelessness. Yet, it doesn't feel unnatural. On the contrary, I have been able to hone and master my skills far beyond what they were when my journey began. I was always skilled in the art of politics and playing the games of the nobility. However, due to my longevity, I feel that even my subpar combat skills have improved greatly. When I found myself with more time than I could fathom, I took to the ways of the Cosmere and walked the paths between worlds. I am far from alone in my explorations. I am not sure if it is my newfound ability or the consequence of my long life, but there are old souls whom I have recognized at mere glances. Perhaps it is the vestige in their eyes, the eyes that have seen too many wonders to be contained. Souls that have aged and flourished. As I sit on the edge of these chasms, awaiting my first walk into the mystery that is Urithiru, I seem able to see further into the night than I normally would.
Now go to sleep in chasms deep, with darkness all around you. Though rock and dread may be your bed, so sleep, my baby dear.
Somewhere on this world is another wanderer, one who has lived far longer than I. You know him as well, for he was to be found walking my homeland before I lost everything. Your response was cryptic when I inquired about the wanderer whom I encountered, but I have more or less filled the gaps you left bare. Oddly, he looks nothing like he did back then, and your description of the man reminded me of yet another time we might have crossed paths. His eyes, the eyes of this Hoid, if that is his real name, look familiar to me for some reason. I met him in Halandrin itself. At the time, he was a master story weaver, a man who was often called before the court of gods and was very, very expensive. I assumed him to be an informant and never hired him personally. Yet those eyes struck me that day, although I didn't realize why. He happened to be called to a party I had attended. He never said a word to me, but as he moved through the colorful attendees, we locked eyes for the briefest of moments, and I nearly tripped on myself. His eyes had such an intensity, like a fire burning too bright to look at directly. Those eyes drilling right through me seemed to strip me of my facade and examine my very soul. And then the moment passed and he was gone. Until now I had put aside this memory, but I am sure it was him. Now, the rest of my knowledge is distilled from speculation and guesswork. However, I understand that you are curious about this man and his intentions. Quite honestly, if I hadn't seen the pure steel behind those eyes, I would say he makes things up as he goes. When he confronted me in the cognitive realm, he seemed driven by a compulsion to stand before me and encourage my passions. He whispered his talk of the 16 shards and the coming deaths that would fall under a shard who would soon be bringing desolation before him. It seemed so important, so well timed to catch me right before my mission began, and now I am here, directly interfering with the plans of gods and men alike. He moves with a purpose, following a plan that I feel I have only glimpsed a drop's worth in an ocean of mysterious intent. It is safe to say that Hoid has traveled all over the Cosmere. He steps in right when the critical nudge is needed. I have observed him doing this, and confirmed some of the whispers that he is meddling here on Roshar as well. He calls himself Wit, and he seems to be serving the King of Alethkar at the moment. If there are any important events happening in the Cosmere, a tipping point or a crucial juncture, Hoid will be there, I guarantee it. Each time I have seen him, he has worn a completely different appearance. From age to hairstyles, he all but reinvents himself from place to place. But you can be sure it is him. In fact, I would guess that his compulsion to throw out witticisms and sarcastic remarks may be the only true way to know who he is for sure. That level of self-confident mockery cannot be faked. How he knows where to be is a mystery of the ages. However, I have seen many strange and impossible things this past century. Perhaps he sees where he needs to be before he gets there. This is a comforting theory, because I wonder if I am making a difference myself. If this appointed path idea is real, then I might have been swept along with him. I also must impress upon you the age of Hoid, or more accurately, the vast age of Hoid. To him I felt as but a child. He seemed to see patterns in the very fabric of creation itself. He might even be as old as creation itself. Hoid spoke of the ascended men and women who are now gods as if he knew them personally. He whispered of their machinations that had been turning for thousands of years, and he said all this without batting an eye. To hear him speak was akin to hearing the stones themselves tell tales of all the things they have seen. Entire nations have risen and fallen before his eyes, including my own. And yet there seems more. This is more of a feeling, but it seems he has seen the beginning of all that the Cosmere is now, and that he plans to see it to the end as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he outlives us all, and that's saying something. It would be folly to look for him. He knows how to hide, and I suspect he understands your abilities all too well. A man such as he must carry powers beyond what I have seen or even imagined. Perhaps he seeks to chronicle all the powers of the Cosmere itself. I don't know. His motivations are unclear, and that troubles me. I believe he is working to save lives. That much was clear when he spoke of the desolation that was coming to Roshar. No, what worries me is what he plans to do with all this time. There are things in motion now. My gut tells me that Hoid is playing two games at once. A game that he has set and played for a very long time. And we are all pawns, just dancing our dances before his agile fingers. This is a game he plans on winning. I myself am an informant, and such games are nearly second nature to me. I am impressed by those who understand the powers of subtlety, and Hoid might be a master, despite his powerful personality. Perhaps this is his source of strength. Regardless, informants and secret keepers learn quickly that the short-term game always leads to an eventual loss. If you want to win, you make every victory and defeat a part of the true plan. Hoid is a crafty manipulator. For that alone, I intend to keep my eye on him as best I can. So you can count on me sending future letters about his work as long as I can keep within earshot of his actions. Despite all that he has done for me, the ones who know the most are often the most dangerous. If I'm not careful, I could be set up to fall myself. Perhaps I will eventually see the board he plays. If knowledge is power, then he shouldn't be the only one wielding it. Until the next letter, Elsric.